Tonight's the night, and it's going to happen again and again. Everyone meet Cece. This is Cece. She's a little actress, and I had to bribe her with salmon.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Hi everyone, and welcome into Leah Binges, because my name is Leah and I like to binge watch a lot of movies and TV shows. And today I'm going to be talking about Dexter Resurrection, which obviously is the actual third spin-off of the original show Dexter. I will say, I was not expecting much from this show. Not at all, honestly. Dexter's one of those shows that I've started to believe kind of needed to die off. I really enjoyed the beginning of the original Dexter show. It had a great hook and really good characters that were well written, but I did really struggle to get through the last couple seasons because I did hate the storyline of Deb being in love with Dexter. Really weird. They grew up together and are siblings. And I also really hated Rita's death. It really kind of was the nail in the coffin for me and this show, just because I really did like Rita as a character and was just really upset with her death. They just overall seemed to kind of run out of ideas, and the show became a little bit too formulaic for me. The beginning of the show really was good, and like I'll go back and rewatch the first couple seasons, but just the later seasons I was like, do I really love this anymore? I'm not really sure. I am very excited about the show now because I've been getting a lot of like fan edits and compilations and things like that on my TikTok For You page. So it has like reignited my excitement for the show, but I vividly remember struggling to get through those last like 2 seasons. After the original show, we did have Dexter New Blood, which was the spinoff where Harrison, Dexter's son, tracks him down. Dexter had run off with Deb's body and like dropped it in the ocean, I think. And then he faked his own death and was living off the grid in the woods. Harrison decided to track him down because he wanted to get to know his dad. Overall, the show just seemed a little unnecessary for me. I did really like the premise, and I thought it would reignite the excitement for the show, but the execution just fell really flat for me. I didn't really care about the new characters in New Blood, and I also didn't love the writing on Harrison's character. It seemed like they didn't totally know what to do with him because they half wanted to make him a copy of Dexter with the whole being born in blood makes you a serial killer and whatnot, but then they half didn't really want to do that. They half wanted to make him a total opposite of Dexter, and they didn't seem to really know what they wanted to do with him. I know everyone hated the endings to both the original Dexter and to New Blood. However, I can't give my opinion on either of them because I don't remember anything about the actual endings from either show. Obviously, I remember that Deb died, and I remember from the original show, and I remember that Harrison shot Dexter at the end of New Blood.
This is the only way out. For both of us. I've never really felt love. Real love. Until now.
But that's about it, so I cannot comment on the finales with the information that I have stored in my head. And I also am not planning on rewatching all that because there's too much, that would take up too much time, and it probably would not be a fun time for me. After about like season 2 or 3 of the original Dexter, I would become bored again, and I really don't want to like push myself to watch all that shows, especially when there's a bunch of other things that I really want to watch right now. So we're just gonna have to go off of what's in my head. When Original Sin was originally announced, that was the kind of prequel spinoff for Dexter that was showing Dexter's younger years. I moaned and groaned for good reason and wasn't really expecting a whole lot. We already saw Dexter's younger years in the original show, so the plot felt extremely repetitive and like an obvious cash grab for fans of the show. I didn't love it.
Oh, Lord. Again. Again. Nothing new, nothing changed, same old shit.
I did, however, give it a try. I did watch all of Original Sin. Episode 1 did not give me a whole lot of hope for the show because it was a complete repeat storyline from the original show. And they also changed it slightly, which did not make any sense, especially considering it was a pivotal moment for the show. Episode 1 of Original Sin does follow Dexter as he kills the nurse who was like an angel of death and trying to kill and was like making Harry, Dexter's dad, sick, which we already saw in the original show. So this was like a pivotal moment. It was Dexter's like first kill, I believe. And it was in order to save his dad. So it was an extremely pivotal moment for his character, but then they changed it around and they could have just kept the original storyline, or better yet, not even shown a complete repeat storyline from the original show. I don't love watching the same thing over again. That's not true. I do sometimes like watching the same thing over again, but not if it's going to be like a show that's supposed to have new characters and new storylines. I will, however, give the actors of Original Sin their flowers for their performances. Young Dexter, young Deb, young Batista, and young Masuka did really, really well playing characters that have already existed for years. They all felt extremely real and like copies of their older selves, which I know can probably be hard for actors to have to go off of characters that already exist and not be able to find their own footing in a character, but they all did really, really well. So I do want to give them a shout out for that. Especially Batista. It was straight up like I was watching young Batista on my screen. So that was really good for Original Sin. However, the actor for Harry in Original Sin was the show's biggest downfall, in my opinion. He looked absolutely nothing like the original actor, and the acting was just terrible that it was distracting for me as a viewer because he was showing no emotion. Everything was so flat and nothing was happening. So I didn't love the actor for Harry. That kind of was the biggest downfall of the show altogether because Harry is supposed to be one of the most important characters to the show and to Dexter himself, but he honestly felt like he wasn't contributing anything. So it was like pulling me out of the show so hard. I'm overall not very sad with the cancellation of Original Sin, ultimately because it felt completely disconnected to the other shows. Like I said, it was a prequel, didn't have a whole lot of like continuation with the other shows, didn't have like the same actors that we've already come to know and love. So I know it is kind of sad for some people because it was renewed and then later canceled. So that's a little confusing for some people. However, I'm totally okay with it because I probably would have suffered to watch through the entirety of Original Sin Season 2, and I didn't really want to do that. I just have a habit of not being able to let shows go. Moving on to Resurrection, I thought that Resurrection was going to be another cash grab.
No! God, please, no! No!
I went in with incredibly low expectations considering the endings of the first two shows. You know, everyone really hated it, and I didn't remember liking New Blood a whole lot, so I'm like, oh great, another Dexter spinoff that I'm gonna watch, but it's not gonna be very good, and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
So I went in with very low expectations. Like I said earlier, I'm not one to abandon a show or a franchise, so I definitely was going to watch Dexter Resurrection, but I did complain during the lead up, considering Dexter was one of those shows that, like I said, I did firmly kind of believe that they needed to let it go, because they kept trying and they kept having misses, and at this point, Michael C. Hall has been in Dexter for what, like 15 years or something like that? Like, let the man go. He's probably very happy in the role, okay? That's just like a little joke. My overall reaction though, post watching the entire season of Dexter Resurrection is, boy, was I proven wrong, because this show is genuinely so, so, so good. Like I said, I am in a little bit of a better mood about Dexter overall right now because the edits on TikTok are like hyping me up for the show, and I'm like ready to go rewatch the first couple seasons of the original Dexter and maybe even rewatch Resurrection because it was that good. The writing, especially the writing of the relationships between characters, is again so good. I could feel the tension through the screen, which I love when a show makes me feel like that, when I feel completely and fully invested in the characters and what they're doing and the relationships that they're building and the scenes that are happening in front of my face. I typically, at this point, have a lot of shows on in the background, and Dexter Resurrection was one of those shows that I put on and it had my full attention for the entire season, which is kind of rare these days. So that was so exciting for me to be able to sit down and watch a show that kept my attention and I didn't want to put down. Like, I want 3 more seasons right now. The production value of Dexter Resurrection was really good, and clearly the budget for this was so high because getting so many of the original actors to guest star as Dexter's hallucinations, plus getting actors like Peter Dinklage.
I cannot express how excited I am to meet you, Leon Fried.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Hey, heard there may be a new guy. Welcome to the freak show.
Eric Stone Street.
Get in here, big guy.
Oh, yeah.
Look at you.
And Uma Thurman.
He prefers red.
And also, I don't remember the actress's name, but like the actress who plays Jessica Jones in the Marvel Universe.
Notorious for taking out sexual predators.
All of these are such a shock to me because I honestly saw no marketing or ads for the show ahead of time. And I also didn't do any research going up to it. Again, because of those low expectations, I was like, okay, I'll give it a try, but I'm not like on the edge of my seat, you know, very excited and nervous about what's going to be happening. So I'm like, you know, looking everything up, not doing all that because I just was like, okay, I'm going to give it a try and see what happens. So seeing all these like big name actors in the show was really a shock for me and a pleasant surprise. Maybe that should teach me something though, because if I'm going to go into a show with very low expectations, little to no research and little to no marketing, then maybe I'll like a lot of more shows a lot more because I won't be knowing what to expect. I did also put off watching Resurrection for a little bit because of the low expectations that I had. I kind of wanted to just let it air and then I would binge it all at once to have it all fresh in my mind. I also was kind of dragging my feet because I was like, oh, do I really want to watch this? It's gonna be kind of a chore. But then I devoured the first half of the show in one sitting and then genuinely looked forward to seeing what would happen and seeing what would happen like each week after that. I got so hyped about this show. It's crazy. I haven't felt that way about a lot of shows recently. So to be able to feel that again and have the excitement and looking forward to see what's going to happen next week was so fun to have again. All right, now let's dive a little bit into Dexter as a character. Dexter is kind of the cat with 9 lives at this point. He has died twice now, and he's still not dead. I know the first time it technically was like, oh, he faked his death, but then Harrison shot him, and I was like, okay, you know, I know a lot of people hated this ending, but at the same time in my head, it was kind of an okay ending for him. Trying to get his son to be just like him, just for his son to turn around and shoot him was an interesting storyline to me. But then they were like, oh, he's actually not dead. And I was like, no, we're still going with this. But anyway, it turned out fine. But at the same time, I would like them to stop having the death fake outs because I don't love them. As I said, in New Blood, Dexter was out living his life in solitude. And that was kind of the best outcome for him as a character. I'll say this a little bit later as well, but there isn't a whole lot that they can do with his character considering how far they've gone with the show. Dexter has some of the best character writing and character development that I've seen. Season 1 of the original show clearly established Dexter as a psychopath. He had no feelings or emotions for anyone, and he would only care for people as a sense of cover to appear normal.
And we've been dating for 6 months now. She's perfect because Rita is, in her own way, as damaged as me.
But by the end, he has had like a strong sense of family and a feeling and a need to protect them.
I need to know you're safe. If something happens, I just want you to know I'm really glad you didn't kill me.
Me too.
Things would be a lot easier if I didn't care. Is this the cost of loving someone? Get that fucker. And this is the ultimate price. If this is your big show and tell, you could do better. Kill me instead.
He also used to do a lot of like masking in the office. He had no true friends, but he's like, oh, people like when I bring food, so I'll bring donuts, to kind of present as normal.
Hey, Dex.
Hey, Sue. Dan. How the families?
Good. You?
Una más. Gracias. De nada. Just like me. Empty inside.
Now I feel like he's so much easier at actually making true friends, like with Blessing, and he's created such a good relationship with Harrison as well. So I don't know, I just feel like they've grown him a lot as a character. I don't know how to like describe it, because when I'm watching it, I'm seeing it happen, but then when I go to describe it, I'm like, I start second guessing myself about, oh, well maybe like he did care about Deb actually, but you know, and he cared about Harry and his mom, and like, so maybe he hasn't actually developed, but at the same time, I feel like he has. I just don't know how to properly put it into words.
Oh my God! Wow!
It has become very clear, though, over his development that he cares very deeply for those around him, such as Deb, Rita, Harrison, Angel, Harry. Harry may have given him the code and the sense of morality, but there's clearly more to it than that. He's not just caring for these people because it's part of Harry's code. He's caring because he wants to, and he does truly have a friendship and a relationship with these people. Even with Harry's code, the kind of dichotomy between having Harry and Brian continuing to act as the angel and devil on Dexter's shoulders, even throughout Resurrections, I really enjoy. That's something that he's always kind of had. He would talk to those people in his mind, and now that experience is just getting larger and larger, and he's having more and more people talk to him in his head, like Harry, Brian, now even Dokes. And I think we'll probably end up like seeing Angel as one of his hallucinations as well. Despite Dexter saying that he doesn't understand human emotions and relationships, they are his #1 priority as seen in the show with his relationship with Blessing and with Harrison. His #1 priority throughout Resurrection is the people around him. Yes, he is still kind of masking with being like your car driver, and also he does still clearly have those priorities about, you know, killing, because of he joined the serial killer like dinner party thing, partially for a sense of community, but also partially to just kill people. So he's still having those like needs and wants, but his main priority, I feel, was his relationships with people in Resurrection, which is kind of a change from what we've seen in the past. Diving a little bit into what I said earlier, my only problem with the show is that it can only go so far. I said the same thing about the Netflix show You. With the main character being a killer, the only way it ends is with Dexter dead or caught, and he doesn't really strike me as someone who would take being caught very well, so I firmly believe that the only true ending for Dexter is for him to die. That's why I say that him living out his life in solitude was kind of the best ending for his character, but ultimately he has established so many times before that he has those like needs and urges from the Dark Passenger and whatnot, so he's clearly not going to be able to quell those urges by living in solitude. Hence why I say that the only real ending for him is to end up dead. And especially now with Angel dying, I think the New York City Police Department and also the Miami Police Department are probably gonna look into that a little bit further and end up going after him, just like Angel was. And it's just like, I don't know how far they're gonna be able to go on with the storyline, especially with Angel already telling the New York City Police Department that he thinks Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher. That seed is like already planted in their minds now. Yes, it worked out when Dokes took the fall for being the Bay Harbor Butcher, but now the seed is planted in everyone's head that that's not true. So there's only so far that he can go with this unless he frames someone else. he just ultimately can't keep killing forever at this point, especially considering New York City is very high profile. They've already introduced the really good cops and Batista warned them. So I just think we can't, like, as much as I really, really did enjoy the show, at the point where we're at right now, I'm just not sure how much further I see the show going without him being caught. Because let's say the cops do get onto him and start chasing him down. They've already established them being good cops. I don't see that being a cat and mouse chase for very long. And then the only solution is for Dexter to either kill them, which he wouldn't do because he doesn't really kill people without a reason. So he's not gonna kill the cops. We just can't go anywhere else with it, realistically. We'll see what happens next season. I am like keeping my fingers crossed for a season 2 because I really did enjoy the show, but we'll see where it goes. Next up is Harrison. I did hate Harrison in New Blood, but really, really loved him in Resurrection. He may not love what Dexter is and how he is similar to Dexter, but in the end, Dexter is still his dad, and Harrison also craves that family and father relationship with Dexter just as much as Dexter craves that father-son relationship with Harrison.
You're all I have.
You're all I have too.
That I felt finally. That release.
Release? I'm in hell. I have nightmares about killing Ryan. I see his face everywhere. This was his, and all I hear is this fucking ticking all the time, and I can't live with it. I can't carry this guilt.
Maybe we're not as alike as I thought.
You tried to nurture something in me that wasn't. If you weren't you, I never would have killed Ryan.
Here. Let me take that. Let me carry it for you.
That father-son relationship is the heart of the show, and that's kind of what makes it. I was looking forward to their reunion in the first half of the series, but even when separated, the development between Harrison and Dexter haunts the narrative and drives the story. Because even in the beginning, we see kind of the cat and mouse thing. Not really cat and mouse. It's like more one-sided cat and mouse because Dexter's like stalking his son from afar, but Harrison is having that internal battle of who am I really? Do I have these violent urges? Because he kills someone in the first episode. I'm getting so off track. I know. I'm sorry. I thought I wrote my thoughts down much clearer than this, but at this point, it's getting a little excessive that I know I'm not making a whole lot of sense. So I do apologize about that. I hope I am making sense though, because I really do like my point about their relationship and their dynamic kind of haunting the narrative because of Harrison having that internal battle and Dexter also kind of having that internal and external battle of wanting to be better for Harrison, but also still having those urges. And he wants to prioritize Harrison, but how does he do that with getting rid of his urges? And then even later, like when they know each other a lot better, and so Harrison knows the truth and he knows who Dexter is, and so he can tell when he's lying. So it's like one of the only relationships where Dexter can truly be honest with someone.
Seriously, what the fuck is going on? You promised no more secrets.
Prater has this type of club for serial killers.
But he's okay. So you've been like hanging out with other serial killers, like who? I mean, did you do what you do with any of them?
I took care of some of them.
Like who?
One of them called himself the Tattoo Collector. Another one was called the Gemini Killer.
The Gemini? He's been killing people for years, and you just took care of him?
Them. Twins.
You got too close to the Trinity Killer, and he murdered her. Could have killed me.
Hey, you are safe. This will all be over soon, I promise. Prater and Charlie are only concerned with me.
I know I'm kind of back on Dexter now. I'm going in circles. I'm so sorry. I hope this is making so much sense because it's making sense in my head, but I know I'm gonna be editing this and being like, what am I talking about? Where is the flow of the conversation? I'm just gonna try and move on. Harrison himself as a character really grew on me as he developed. I really do like the idea of him becoming a police officer and continuing the family legacy, considering we had Harry, Deb, and Dexter all in law enforcement, and so now Harrison's continuing that. I do wish his girlfriend had a little bit more development. She seems too nice and kind of random for the storyline. I saw people online talking about there being a possible twist of her being connected to like the New York Ripper because we didn't get a whole lot on the New York Ripper in season 1 of Resurrection. So I do kind of like that twist because I just feel like she needs to be doing more for the storyline. She's just a little disconnected right now. I also wish we had more comments in Resurrection about Rita's other 2 kids, but I just wish they like at least made a comment about them at one point. They've kind of ignored that they even existed. Next up we have Prater.
It was a bit odd how you were so drawn to the Bay Harbor Butcher's blood slime box when I first showed you my collection. But then when your pal Batista here told me who you really were, that suddenly, boom, it all became clear.
Who is a new character for Resurrection. I really, really liked him as an addition. I think Peter Dinklage is a great actor and he like really has that kind of like tension building aspect, which was really needed. The tension between him and Dexter were one of the highlights of this entire season because Prater is unpredictable. Like Dexter kind of craves that routine and he has all of his rules and codes and routines in order to not get caught, whereas Prater, you never really seem to know what he's gonna do next. He's a little bit crazy, which is kind of needed to counteract Dexter's structure. Putting together a club of serial killers is such an interesting storyline, especially with Prater's connection to the police force. I know we got a little bit of backstory about why he has such a fascination with serial killers. Why then also be connected to the police force? I don't think they fully explained that. It could also have to do with his parents' death, or maybe it's just a cover, or maybe it's a little bit of both. But I wish overall we got more of his backstory because I know he talked about how he had a connection to the guy who killed his parents, which was like such a good lead up to now why he has this fascination with serial killers. I was genuinely hooked on this whole storyline. Again, I just wish we kind of got more of it. He was such an interestingly written character and so fascinating to watch, and I think that's part of what made this show really good that New Blood was missing, was that character writing on new characters and not just the old characters. Just so I wish we got a tiny bit more of it. Like we focus so much on Dexter, and I know it's Dexter's show, and I do like Dexter as well. Prater was just so kind of crazy and unpredictable and interesting, and I wanted to know a little bit more, just a little bit. Like how did we get here? How many other serial killers were in the dinner before we got here? Did he just like invite one? And how were the rules established for the dinner? I'm kind of descending into my own line of questioning in my head right now, so. But hence why I wanted to see a little bit more, because it was so good. It was so good, and then at the same time, that's why I just want more. Like, I'm not questioning it because it was bad or poorly written. I'm questioning it because I have questions because I want more. And now we won't, of course, because Prater's dead, but that's besides the point. Anyway, ending Prater's storyline with him getting a taste of the kills and like getting his own urges.
I've always admired people like you. But today, I finally got a taste of what it's like to be you, and it felt exhilarating. So thank you for giving me the, what did you call that? The itch, the need, the great yearning, the urge, yes, the urge, that's it. I finally have that. Ah, my heart is racing just talking about it.
Was such a good twist. Okay, again, wish we just got a little bit more, because why would he never think of that to begin? Like, why would he never think of that to begin with? If you have such a fascination with serial killers and they're all talking about these urges and whatnot, you're clearly living vicariously through the serial killers. Dude had a whole vault of serial killer memorabilia, had a dinner party with serial killers, and like clearly got off on the presentations that the serial killers were giving. You as a character, you never had that thought process of like, maybe I should try it myself, until finally in the last episode when you killed Angel, or the second to last episode when you killed Angel. I kind of wanted to see him develop his own killing style. That would have been so interesting. I just really hope they introduce like another interesting character in season 2. Because I'm happy with where we ended in season 1. My only point kind of becomes you had such interesting characters and then they get killed off because they kind of have to, otherwise they're a threat to Dexter. But then where do you go in the next season that's good enough to keep the excitement from season 1? Because I'm fine that Prater died. Although I did kind of wish they handled his death a little bit differently. Like, he was so kind of cocky. Although maybe that was part of his character. He was so cocky the whole time, and then he finally got on Dexter's table after being kind of like obsessed with Bay Harbor Butcher and serial killers in general. And then he finally learns who Dexter is. And then he decides, I'm gonna kill Dexter. That doesn't totally go with his like MO to begin with. Wouldn't he rather try to make it work with Dexter and like try and continue convincing him rather than just lock him in a vault and let him die off in 3 weeks? Or maybe that was just part of him becoming his own serial killer, and he's like, oh, if I kill the Bay Harbor Butcher, then I become like the most coveted killer. I guess that makes sense. But then once he's on Dexter's table, I kind of wanted him to be a little bit more cocky, like keep up that facade that he's had going. But instead, he just kind of becomes a little bit of a wimp. And just starts like begging for his life.
Please don't hurt me. Please, please. Oh God. Oh God.
Not that begging for your life makes you a wimp, but like, I don't know. He was built up as like such a villain. And then when he's finally on Dexter's table, it's like falls a little bit flat. I was fine with it. I'm only overthinking it now, so I'm gonna stop doing that now. I just wish we could have had more scenes with Prater truly taunting Dexter as the Bay Harbor Butcher and not as the Dark Passenger, because he was like playing the role of the Dark Passenger the entire time rather than taking on the role of the Bay Harbor Butcher. But then once Prater found out that he was the Bay Harbor Butcher, it was like much more interesting because he had the truth and they could develop within those roles. So I wish we got a little bit, I kind of wish overall the season was just like 2 episodes longer, just so we got a little bit more after that kind of climax of everything happening. Next up is Charlie, who is the right hand to Prater. But also, why does every right hand to a villain have to be ex-military with some sort of secret soft spot family member that then the villain is holding over them? It's just kind of played out in my opinion. Especially with Prater having such an interest in serial killers, a better plot twist would have been for his right hand to be a serial killer herself, who eventually turns on him. But instead, we just do the same storyline that I feel like I've seen a million times. And Charlie, oh, we should feel bad for Charlie because Charlie's mom is sick and Prater's giving her meds, so that's why she's helping him. I wanted like some sort of, creative backstory where Charlie's a serial killer and she was the first person that Prater like really believed in, and he like harnessed her serial killer tendencies, and so that's why she has loyalty to him. Or they're secretly related, or they were like childhood best friends, and then his parents died and she was the one who killed his parents, and therefore they're like this bonded pair. Like, we could have done a whole lot more with them, but instead she was just kind of a trope and missed opportunity. She just wasn't that great for me. Next up we have Batista, and Batista's switch up throughout this entire series is one of the most heartbreaking, honestly, both for Dexter and as the viewer, because they've gone from such best friends to now enemies. It's another kind of cat and mouse dynamic and built up of tension throughout the entire show.
Surprise, hermano.
Angel! What are you doing here?
Just passing through, I thought I'd try to catch you. I taught this guy how to salsa 30 years ago.
Ah, that was a different life.
Same dance.
I understand the progression of Batista's character as he became obsessed with catching Dexter. He became blinded by grief, rage, and revenge, and it made him dumb in the long run. However, I hated his death. I understand how they got there, but he reached a point of no consideration or thought. In the past, he's been such a good cop, and because he was so blinded by that rage, he genuinely didn't think through any of his actions before doing them. Overall, it was very sad to see him go, but I'm glad that the actor seems pleased with the ending. He did an interview for some article where he was like, oh, you know, I'm like at peace with the end, and I'm happy with the ending, and also with Dexter's hallucinations, I can always show up again. However, I would have loved to see Dexter and Batista work together one last time to bring down Prater, but I do understand that Batista was ultimately too tunnel vision to realize that that was the better move in the time. He had that one set mindset. Even though Prater was the bigger villain at the time, in his mind, Dexter was always going to be the ultimate villain. So even if they both died at the hands of Prater, he was fine with that as long as Dexter went down with him.
We were partners once. Maybe we can be partners again.
This is for Dukes. For Maria, your bullshit has to stop.
So much for cooperation.
Dexter Morgan.
Fuck you.
My only problem with his ending and his death was that it was extremely predictable. It's like Dexter said earlier in the season, this can't end well for you to Batista. Like, if he's truly the Bay Harbor Butcher, it wasn't gonna end well for Batista.
You don't want to get into this.
Oh, what? What are you gonna do?
If I really am who you think I am, this can't possibly end well for you.
I'll take my chances, buddy.
And so you knew that his death was ultimately going to come. He was too focused and too close to catching Dexter that the show wouldn't be able to go on if that happened. So you knew it was going to happen from the beginning, which is a little disappointing. However, it was well written. Like, all of this, I totally understand where it's coming from, and I totally understand the writing choices and the character choices and things like that. It's just one of those things where I'm like, you know, no matter how good the show is, things could still be critiqued or twisted to like make it even better. Next up we have Blessing, and I really liked Blessing as a character. Everything was so dark and doom and gloom throughout the entire show. So Blessing was just one of those like very positive and uplifting aspects to the show as a whole. He was a great influence on Dexter as a character. He was just one of those characters that was good for the sake of being good and friendly, welcoming Dexter into his family and his home when he really didn't need to do all that. He met Dexter once because he drove him in his car and just decided, oh, I'm taking you home now, and you're gonna live in the apartment below us, and I'm gonna show you how to be a good your car driver, and also I'm gonna help you reconnect with your son, and also my mom just died and you should come to like, he met this guy once and he really was like, oh yeah, you're coming home with me, come now. I love him. That's all I really have to say about Blessing, honestly. I hope we get more of him in the next season because I really liked him. I really hope that he doesn't end up dead because of Dexter. And then it'll prove Angel right, and then please don't kill Blessing next season. Please. Next up, we have the new cops. I didn't love the new cops. They don't really have that much characterization going for them. I know Dexter called them good cops, but like we got nothing else to them. They lack any sort of depth. They tried to make the one cop like really like militant, if that's the word I'm looking for. Like she was so like straight focused and she would like, you know, they didn't give her any sort of characterization outside of being a cop and being focused. So I don't really have that much else to say about them because they really gave them nothing to work with. And then last up, we have the killers. I'm not gonna go through them individually because a lot of them were only there for like 1 or 2 episodes and they weren't that important in the grand scheme of things. They were fine as a storyline whole for Dexter to try and find that sense of belonging.
You are cordially invited to a dinner party for like-minded individuals who share similar passions. An opportunity for conversation and camaraderie.
And struggle between community and code. But them as characters, I just didn't care for that much. I did appreciate the nuance of Mia because Dexter thought that she was just like him, living by code and killing for a reason, only to find out that she's just like the others and only kills because she enjoys it, even if the victims are innocent. It was kind of this bait and switch for Dexter to be like, oh, I really could have a future with her because she's just like me, focused, and she has a code, like, yeah, she needs to kill, and she has those urges, but it's all for a reason. And then only to find out that it's not all for a reason and she really just enjoyed killing.
Especially since you clearly have a type. And I do too. Seems like kind of a small target to find a rideshare driver who's also a sexual predator.
Any driver will do.
But you only kill sexual predators.
It started out that way, but between us, I just enjoy killing. And when I have an itch, I scratch it.
But then I also appreciated that kind of turning point for Dexter. He can't kill her and instead uses her to help protect Harrison by framing her for Harrison's murder.
Ryan Foster, serial rapist. You are now a victim of Lady Vengeance. Even if I can't be in my son's life, at least I can make sure he has a life.
I'm like going back to Dexter's character, because like everything is for Dexter's characterization, it seems like. But it was one of those instances where Dexter put Harrison and his relationship with Harrison above everything else, no matter the consequences. And it ended up working out for him because obviously Mia was killed by Charlie before being able to say anything, but it really could have put Dexter at risk had she like fully been incarcerated. That's all I have for this video. Overall, like I said, I did really enjoy this show, even though I wasn't really expecting a whole lot from it. One of the things that shows these days are really missing is that production value. So many shows, like a lot of the shows on Netflix, like I said, they don't really put a whole lot into the show itself. They just like have a script, they film it all in the same exact way. It's all just kind of like very oversaturated and smooth and bright, and you know what I mean? Like so many shows are filmed like that these days and I hate it. So one of the things that I really loved about Dexter and the continuation of Dexter is they kept that like gloomy and moody and like very dark filming. I know like it was kind of a complaint about some shows that they're like too dark that you can't see anything, but Dexter's not, like the way they film the show is not that way. It has such great atmosphere with the way that they film it. Like the red lighting throughout the first episode when Harrison is killing that guy. and the shadows on like Dexter's face when he's like on a kill or something like that. It's just so good. That's one of the reasons why I definitely said that about Daredevil Born Again as well, that the way it was filmed just like captures the audience a lot better than a lot of the other shows that are out there right now. And I definitely complain about that with shows a lot. Like I said, with like a lot of the shows being very kind of bright and smooth and oversaturated and filmed the exact same way, that I don't love watching them. But I did love watching this and Daredevil Born Again because of those reasons, because of the way that it's filmed and the cinematography that's put into it. And you don't really get that feeling from watching a lot of shows anymore. So I really, really appreciated that. Fingers crossed they renew it for a season 2, because I will be there episode 1 watching that thing all the way through. I will be hooked. I'm probably gonna go rewatch Dexter Resurrection right now, actually, because I loved it so much. Check it out if you haven't already. If you thought that Dexter as a series was dead, I am here to tell you that it's not dead, because I thought it was dead as a series. This show like reignited my excitement and interest in the show as a whole. I had a really fun time watching it and filming this, which is good because I know I complain a lot on here, but this show was just so good. So I'm happy to talk about a show that I really enjoyed for a little bit. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give this video a like and also subscribe to see any of my upcoming videos as well. Please watch any of my other videos that are already posted if you enjoyed my little rant here. Also leave a comment down below to let me know what you thought about Dexter Resurrection, or let me know what other shows you would like me to check out. Maybe I'll get to it in the next, 5 to 7 years. My list is so long at this point. But thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!